So on today's episode, I've got a new guest actually by the name of Marsh, and he's going to be talking about Disability Action Haringey and how people can get involved, and about direct payment and how clients disability action Haringey support. So thank you, Mash, for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So can you tell me and the listeners a little bit about what kind of work Disability Action Haringey do?
Sure. I'll just tell you first who we are as an organization. So Disability Action Haringey, we're a user-led organization. We're a pan-disability organization. So we're not limited to any particular disability. And we work with disabled people to ensure that they have choice and control over the support that they require. And what we're trying to do is to encourage people or to support people to live as independently as they can in the community. And as an organization, we have adopted the social model of disability. And what the social model of disability is, it's about working to reduce and remove barriers that people with disabilities face in accessing services, whether that's transport, whether that's employment, whether that's leisure, whether that's recreational services. And we are a community-based organization, but we're all about trying to remove barriers so that people with disabilities can live meaningful lives in the community.
Well, that's good because I've got cerebral palsy, and I do find that some of the transportation I use is a bit limited. For example, I've got a walker, so there's certain stations that are not accessible. And for example, when I use the escalator, if my partner's not there with me, then I have to use other stations that are step-free. So in terms of that, how would your organization support someone like me that finds using everyday transport a bit of a struggle?
So there's two things that you've mentioned about accessibility. So at DAH Haringey, one of the things that we're working on is trying to improve services in the local community. So we work quite closely with the council. So for example, when the council hold consultations to see how they can improve services in the community, whether that's around accessibility or direct payments or other areas, DAH helps to facilitate the consultation to ensure that people with disabilities can kind of participate in that process, to ensure that we can live in a more inclusive borough and in a borough where people can feel that they can access services and that services are accessible to people irrespective of their disability. I think because disability as an umbrella is quite broad. We've got different types of disabilities, and DAH will, tries to reflect the whole range of people with various disabilities, and we would, work with kind of different organizations and the local authority to ensure that we can deliver on the agenda of making Haringey a much more inclusive place. I think it's hard to kind of do things on our own as an organization, but it's not only working in partnership, but also if people join our organization as a member, they become part of a more powerful coalition of voices of those who are deaf and disabled, so we can lobby for change in our local community around the very issues that you've mentioned.
I mentioned a bit about direct payment. So how can direct payment help DAH?
Sure. So I have a colleague who deals with direct payments, and their role is to support people who are direct payment holders in Haringey who want to find a personal assistant. And that's where I come in. My job is to find personal assistants across the community who want to give their time and energy to support someone who is deaf or disabled and has access to direct payments. So again, we are always looking for people who want to become a personal assistant, want to give back to the community. And the direct payment help facilitate bringing people on board. So people are funded to support people through direct payments. And normally what will happen is if someone is eligible for direct payments, the council will carry out an assessment on that person and then determine the level of need and support that they have, and may then allocate them hours of how much, or allocate the number of hours required for a care worker, a PA. And that's where we get involved, and we can support in facilitating the process of matching people up, matching direct payment holders with personal assistants. But my particular role is to find those personal assistants and be involved in the facilitation process.
Okay, so again, you mentioned about the council. So what more can the council do with working with your organisation? What more can the council provide?
So far, they've been great. Supported us to ensure that the PA service can be up and running. We're actually funded by the council, and so they are doing a lot of work with us to support us as an organisation. And really, it's now for us as an independent charity to make things happen in the borough. I myself have been going out into the community, talking to different organisations, different actors who are doing great work, and trying to build those relationships, because at the end of the day, DAH can only succeed when we work in partnership with organizations as well as the local authority. And so far some great work has been done, but we're really keen also to nurture relationships and also to develop relationships within certain diverse communities of Haringey. Haringey is one of the most diverse communities in London, and we would like to get PAs from the diverse communities that reflect our direct payment holders. So we're eagerly looking for anyone that has got time on their hands or would like a career in care work to consider becoming a personal assistant in Haringey and supporting one of our local residents.
So if anyone is listening to this and they want to become a personal assistant, they want to work alongside your organisation, what are the steps they need to take?
Sure, it's quite a straightforward step that they can take. They can email us. So we've got a generic email, which is info@d-a-h.org. That's our email, generic email, but people can also find us online. We have a website, and they can call us directly, and they can also contact us through social media. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, so people can contact us through these mediums, and we're always keen to meet new people. We have regular information sessions for people to attend, where they can learn more about what it means to become a personal assistant. I normally deliver those information sessions. And again, it's an opportunity where you're not committing to anything. You're learning about, you want to find out more about what it means to become a personal assistant. And if you're interested, we could take things further from there.
Yeah.
Do you want me to kind of mention kind of other areas that DAH also kind of? So Disability Action Haringey, there's two other areas that might be of interest to people, listeners.
Okay.
The first is the membership. So we are a pan-disability organisation. We're a deaf and disabled organisation. And we encourage anyone who is a resident in Haringey who is deaf or who identifies as deaf and disabled, has a disability, to join our organisation. It's free. There is no membership fee. There is no membership subscription. And by joining, you're going to be part of a bigger coalition of voices that champions for change in the borough around, and as you've mentioned earlier in the conversation around accessibility, how can we make sure that Haringey becomes a much more inclusive borough to what it is today? How can we make services much more inclusive and accessible to deaf and disabled people in the borough?
The other question, so I don't know how long you've been working for DAH, but what are some of the barriers that you've found working for DAH?
I think barriers is dependent on individuals, and it again is dependent on who the person is, and some, again, because disability is such a broad umbrella, and it has a wide range of physical and mental health and learning difficulties. Different people face different barriers, but there are definitely barriers around accessibility, around issues around employment, issues around transportation, and a whole range of other barriers that those who are deaf and disabled face in wider society. And that's what DAH is there for, is to try and reduce barriers and try and encourage organizations to become even more accessible, and also to challenge some of the stigma and discrimination that people with disabilities face in our community. And that's why people were to join our organization as a member, they can be part of a wider coalition of challenging some of the barriers and some of the stigma in society around that people with disabilities face. And the other thing I was going to mention is that we also have an information, advice and guidance service in DAH. So people who be entitled to particular benefits or maybe eligible for particular benefits can approach us. So we have a support service that can support people to apply for benefits or particular types of benefits. And we provide that service in addition to our membership and also our personal assistant program.
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned. I know someone that has just literally come, or not literally, he's come to London about 8 months ago. And because he came from Scotland and he wasn't getting any benefits at all. And then he's come here now and I think it was only last week he got VIP personal independence. But because of so he's epileptic. He had a brain surgery like 10 years ago, but because he's not taking as many seizures, we kind of feel that he might a bit more money from PRIP. So is that something Actiion will be able to?
Definitely, we're willing. We are here to provide that advice and guidance. Anyone that approaches us for support, we would definitely look into their case to see if it's something we can assist them with. I haven't been enrolled very long. Okay. I've been with DAH for around 2 months. Okay. So I haven't been here long, but I have been myself getting involved in the day-to-day life of DAH. And like I said, we are here for anyone that might need us, and we will definitely assess everyone's situation based on their own individual kind of situations. But we can provide that support. But again, it's dependent on what it is that people require support with, but we will definitely look into it.
Okay, and just one more question before we wrap up.
Sure.
In your own opinion, because we're in the 21st century now, disability is advertised everywhere. Why do you still think there's barriers? In your opinion, why do you still think
that's a really good question? That's a really good question. I think just because there just appears to be a lack of education, but also I think people often place limitations on what they think or what they assume people with disabilities can achieve. And I know many cases of people who are deaf and disabled who have actually gone on to thrive with the right support in place, and whether that's in employment, whether that's in other areas of life. And it's really important that those positive messages are shared widely as possible. And that's why even the PA program, we are actually, opening the doors and say, even if you have a disability, you can become a personal assistant. So, I think there is a wider, campaign that, needs to be kind of challenged nationally around how we remove barriers but tackle stigma. But also at a local level, I think, we need to show some positive stories and share those stories as widely as possible, that actually, one can be deaf and disabled or and still live a meaningful life. And we need to show those examples.
Well, thank you very much, Mash. I'm sure,
no.
People listening to this will be like, you want to get on board with your company and help out. So thank you.
No, thank you for your time, and I really appreciate this opportunity to promote Disability Action Haringey. And I hope that our doors are open, and we're really keen to meet, our local community. Anyone who is, deaf and disabled in Haringey, please get in touch, talk to us, ask us questions before if you're not ready to commit, we are here for you, and let's become a stronger coalition together.
I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem.